Okay, I'm going to start my puzzle cube project, and this is what I start with. This is where I basically plan what I'm going to do. On the left, you see there is a puzzle cube constraint check, and kind of use that as our rubric slash our design brief. But as you see here, the first line says that we need to have 5 pieces. Okay, and the next line says 4 to 6 individual cubes per piece. So make sure that when we're talking about cubes and we're talking about pieces, we're talking about two different things. Pieces is the collective shape that we make out of the cubes. The cubes, of course, are the individual parts of the pieces. Some of the parts need to be interlocking. And of course, the more interlocking they are, the better your puzzle cube turns out. But try not to focus too much on the interlocking part. I think some of that will happen naturally. No square, rectangle, or L shapes, and I'll kind of show you some more of that here in a second. No two pieces are the same shape. Okay, so you can't have two T shapes or two U shapes or anything like that. Every shape needs to be different because we want our puzzle that we're making, we want it to be challenging for other people to put together. All right, and the way I start my puzzle cube is, I have these blank cube parts. This is the bottom tier of the cube. This is the middle tier, and this is the upper tier. These parts are all going to come together and fit as one cube once we cut them out and put them together. So your ending cube will look like what a completed cube as far as being colored in looks like. Now I start my cube, I just kind of pick a color at random, and I kind of pick a spot at random, whatever's comfortable for me. I kind of like to start at the bottom, and I'm going to start with the color brown. And just first off, I'm going to pick some cubes and I'm going to color them brown. And this is going to be a piece for my puzzle. All right, so all these cubes that I'm coloring brown will end up being glued together and will eventually make one whole piece of the puzzle. All right, so I'm coloring it in brown, those 3 cubes. All right, now of course that is basically a rectangle shape, and my constraints over here tell me that I can't have any rectangle shapes. So I have to add on to that rectangle shape. So what I can do is I can put another brown cube on top of this cube. In order to do that, I go up to the second tier, and I can put a brown cube on top of that cube. And it doesn't have to be this cube. I can choose any of these cubes to place on top of the piece that I have started to make. All right, so now we actually we still have a problem here, is that we still have an L shape. Okay, so we have a rectangle here and then one part sticking up that's going to be on top of this cube. It makes like a small L. So I need to change that, and I'm going to go back to my base and add a couple of more cubes to the piece to finish out that piece and make it fit within the constraints. So here, of course, you see it's an L shape this way, but when I put this cube on top of this one, then that takes away that basic L shape, and it becomes kind of an L shape with 2 legs sticking off in different directions. Okay, but just no basic, plain, everyday L shapes or rectangles. All right. So next thing I want to do, I think I'm good with that. I like that part. I want to make some more parts to the puzzle, some more pieces. So I'm going to go with green on the next one here. And I'm just at random going to pick a couple of cubes that I like, color them green. All right, and I'm not finished yet because I just got a rectangle here by coloring in these 2 cubes green. So I need to set another cube on top of that one, on top of this one, or I could put it on top of this one, but I choose to put it on top of this one, and I color this one in. So that's going to sit on top of that cube, and it's going to take away that basic rectangle shape, but now I'm stuck with an L shape. Okay, so I have these two here, and then that one that sits here, and when you put those together, that makes an L shape. So I need to fix that, and I also want to make my puzzle maybe a little more complicated for someone to fix or put together. So I'm going to color in these cubes here, and these cubes, of course, will connect to this cube, allowing them to form one piece. So connection here and then connection across here. All right, and I'm still not finished because I mean, I could be finished if I wanted to. This does fit within the constraints, but I want to make something a little more, complicated. So I'm gonna add one more cube up at the top here. It's gonna connect to this cube. All right, so now this one connects here. This cube connects to this one. These cubes connect across that way. Alright, next color I think I will choose will be, let's go with black. So I want to finish out my base here with these two cubes. So I'm going to color those two cubes in black. Alright, and of course I have a basic shape, a real easy shape that I really don't want. I want it to be more complicated. I want it to fit within the constraints. So I'm going to go up to this second tier and add two more cubes here. As you see, this middle cube will attach to this middle cube, and then you'll have like two cubes sticking off to the side in either direction, kind of making a Z shape. Okay, and again, I want it to be a little bit more challenging, so I'm going to add a couple of more cubes up here. Alright, so another middle cube which will connect to that cube, which will connect to that cube. And then of course they each have another cube sticking off in a different direction on each side. So that's my black piece. Let's see. Let's go with orange. Okay. Alright, and on my orange cube, kind of look around and see what I can do interesting. Color in a few of these up here. All right, and okay, so I have a basic L shape. I need to fix that. So I'm going to fill in this cube here, and it's going to attach to this cube. All right. Next, let's say I have a few more cubes left. I'm going to use the color yellow and just connect them all together. So those cubes connect side by side. This cube will connect to the top of this cube. All right, and then I'll add this cube on the side of this cube. Okay, now I have a complete puzzle cube plan.